All right, everyone. Today I'm joined by Kain Warwick from Infinex and Synthetix and Illia Polosukhin from Near. You guys have announced an integration between Near and Infinex that's going out today. Run me through what that means for Infinex and Near together. What's going on? How does it all work?
Yeah, so I think when we started Infinex, one of the first things that I said is we would need to support Bitcoin, Litecoin, Dogecoin, all of the boomer assets. Otherwise, you can't really compete with centralized exchanges, right? So we were looking around for the solution to that, and again, like I try not to compare myself to LLMs too much because it's a bit dark, but I'd already had a conversation with Illia like 6 months before this, right? And he was like, we've got this amazing thing coming. You're going to be able to like control wallets from different chains. And I was like, sure, bro, it sounds great. And I just didn't connect the dots. And then I must have said something publicly, and Illia was like, hey, that's the thing that I told you about. And I was like, what thing? I don't know. And anyway, we got on a call and he told me again for the second time. And this time it actually landed. And I was like, oh yeah, that actually would be really useful. We need that. And then I think it was about 6 months. They were getting pretty close to deploying. And it was about 6 months later, got into production. And then we have been working now for probably 2 or 3 months, I think, pretty solidly to get it into production. So pretty excited that it's finally ready. It's been a lot of work on our side to kind of get ready for this, but yeah, really, really exciting.
For us, just like at a higher level, we always strived for what we call chain abstraction, right? Like we started building Near with the idea that like as a user you shouldn't really need to like understand all the minutia of the blockchain to use it and to use applications. And so kind of over past at this point it's like scary to say these numbers, but yeah, like 7 years been building kind of in this paradigm. And so when Kain kind of announced Infinex, it was like, hey, this is actually like exactly like the application to leverage all of the tech that we've been building, right? Like how do you build, gasless transactions? How do you, do easy onboarding? Then how do you go from kind of one chain to use assets on all chains? How do you kind of create like liquidity that is, not needing to like, oh, am I using the right aggregator? Did I bridge the right thing? Is like, do I need the gas on that chain that's like in a different asset? Like all of these things that like just, extremely annoying. And also, is the addresses different? Like I was just doing something on one of the Cosmos chains and I'm like, I think every Cosmos chain has a different address. I should not use my like Lava address for Noble. Let me go check. So like,
I'm impressed you were using a Cosmos chain. What were you doing over there? What was going on?
Oh, well, Namada is launching, so I'm an angel investor. It's like a private chain, which is, pretty exciting. But I was like, I'm like, okay, we need to add this to Near, Intense, and Infinex so that it's easy to use.
Yeah, exactly.
I think everyone has an experience of onboarding with Cosmos and being like, wow, this is amazing. And then eventually deleting a Kepler wallet at the end point and being like, all right, never again.
Yeah. So anyway, so I think, as Kain mentioned, yeah, we kind of like, hey, we're building this tech that actually can power what you're building. And yeah, I think we had that meeting at ECC last year, which was pretty fun, where you guys are like, oh, that's what it is. Oh, yeah, this is really cool. We're like, yeah,
this is really good. Yeah, this is good stuff. You guys definitely should build this.
Yeah. So yeah, on our side, we were launching it throughout the year, and then kind of integrating with Infinex. So, and really amazing to see it going live, to go to a bunch of real users doing real transactions. Yeah, so excited kind of to partner up here and also bring this technology to wider market across the board.
Okay, awesome. So now that this is out, Bitcoin, Dogecoin, Litecoin, that's all going to be supported.
No Litecoin yet, right? Is there? It's not Litecoin.
Litecoin is not yet, but we do have Zcash, we do have XRP, we have. We're gonna have a bunch of other ones as well coming in. So
Cosmos.
There's like more. There's like chains coming like every like 1 or 2 weeks, like outside of EVM, like as
and I think for us, chains. The nice thing for us is we are able to kind of offload a lot of that work because each of those chains are quite challenging to integrate for us particularly. But I think that now Near has this pattern to be able to onboard these types of chains that just makes it much, much easier. And so our goal obviously is to have every single asset in the top 100. I think we need to have that. I think the advantage that we will probably have when we get to that point, and maybe 20 of those are probably Near assets. I would say most likely. So 20% of the assets that you have on Infinex will be supported solely through Near. And the advantage that we have is it might be, to the best of my knowledge, the only exchange ever that has had every single asset in the top 100. Most exchanges,
True.
There's at least 3 or 4 or 5 or 10 assets that are like, oh, we don't make markets for that or whatever. Like, I don't think Binance has every single asset in the top 100, just because it changes a lot, right? It's hard to do that. So yeah, I think that it's pretty exciting for us to be able to know we've got an integration now that scales out horizontally really well.
Okay, awesome. And I mean, that's powered by Intents. Can one of you guys explain how Intents work for the Neanderthals among us?
Yeah, so at the highest level, Intents is effectively, instead of, like, normally when you transact with blockchain, you say, hey, call this contract, with these arguments, move this asset there, etc. And so you actually don't know what the result going to be. You're hoping it's going to be what you expect, but, sometimes it steals all your money, sometimes things explode, sometimes, it just reverts back, right? Which is not how, we want to use the blockchain. We really want just hey, I want this outcome. I want to buy this thing, and I want to, have this contract where, in this case, this happens. That's how, humans do commerce. It's not the execution that goes into contract, it's the actual result. And so the intent is really about kind of creating a protocol for that. Is really a binding commitments around result instead of the how to achieve it. So, I mean, the simplest one that everybody uses is obviously trading, right? Hey, I want some Bitcoin for some USDC. I don't really care how you get it. Just give it to me in this address, in my destination address. But, and we'll talk about it on the AI side, this also can be hey, I want this building built in Lisbon. Again, I don't care how you do it, but I'm willing to pay for that. How much would it cost? Or, I want to get a flat with a mortgage that under 5%, right? So this can be any outcome, both in crypto world and real world. And then you have effectively solvers, agents, market makers, etc., coming in and figuring out how to actually achieve it, right? But you have this commitment. And so this especially, plugs in well with kind of trading for this chains where you want effectively all of those different assets, which, some of them are long tail, there's, very little liquidity. And so you kind of need to have a more intelligent routing underneath to actually get the result users are looking for.
Okay, Kain, I'm going to throw you one. Infinex has changed a lot since you kind of noodled with the idea to begin with. I remember when it first started, it was we're going to do a perps front end, a front end for a perps DEX kind of thing. And then you're wait a second, no, we're actually going to do a lot more shit with it, and we'll actually make it on-chain CX DEX in the back. Talk to me about Infinex Connect and how this fits with the long-term vision of what's happening with Infinex.
So yeah, I think that the evolution has been to figure out ways over time to be able to, capture more of the user's wallet, right? And so if you're a perp DEX that's fully vertically integrated, you've got perp traders who might have some of their assets, their perp trading assets there. And maybe if you've got spot as well, you have some of that. But then, people want to yield farm and they've got different assets in a different wallet or whatever. Or, you want to do something in the Cosmos ecosystem, and so you need a different wallet to do that for some weird reason. I don't know why you'd be doing that, but apparently people do. And so, in order for us to be able to be useful as a wallet, we kind of have to do everything. And so we built what we think is a very good wallet. that has a vertically integrated platform that handles a bunch of chains, now handles even more chains. You can do Bitcoin, you can do XRP. There's a lot of utility there, but you probably also want to use a dApp on Ethereum or a dApp on Near to do some particular thing. It could be just providing liquidity. You might want to be an LP into an AMM on Near, and you have to be able to do that. And if the thing that you're using for holding your Bitcoin can't do that, you will go and find another thing. You'll go and get a wallet on Near, or you go and get a dedicated wallet for Cosmos, or whatever it is, right? And so what we've been slowly doing is working out what is the next thing that we need to do to be able to capture more of that share of wallet, so that a user doesn't need to go and find another wallet and do something else. The flip side of that is that in order for Infinex Connect to do this, we need to make it available to other builders for the first time. Everything previously has been us taking things that other people have built, Near Intents, and going and integrating it, or some yield aggregator and integrating it. We've been bringing stuff from the ecosystem and putting it inside of Infinex. Now we're taking what Infinex has built and giving it to the ecosystem, and that's very exciting, because if you think about something like XRP, let's say, right? There's a lot of XRP out there. You can't necessarily do anything with it outside of the XRP ecosystem. There's some stuff now inside of the ecosystem, but you can't necessarily do anything outside the ecosystem. But if you have something like Infinex Connect that even through Near Intents can access that liquidity, now all of a sudden someone can build an application that uses liquidity from one chain, XRP, let's say, to do something on another chain with an interface that abstracts all of that away. So you get a dApp that someone can build. And so this is not inside Infinex. This is like you say, I'm going to build some weird dApp that does something on XRP and Cosmos. I don't know why, but you've got a reason. You've got a theory that that's what the market needs, right?
Arbitrage for something. So
you build an interface that has Infinex Connect that is powered on the XRP side, right? And the Cosmos side by Near Intents. And now you can interact with both of those chains from a single interface, completely chain abstracted. And I think for builders, that's going to be a huge unlock. And so that's what we're really excited about. We think that takes Infinex to the next level.
I know that with like the Infinex wallet side of things, if I was Rabby or Phantom, should I be scared?
Not yet. Not yet, I think, right? The thing about
pre-scared.
Yeah.
Pre-scared.
the thing that I love about crypto, right, is switching costs are really low, because because of interoperability and composability, you can bring all of your shit at a moment's notice and just like pull up and just go somewhere else, right? And we've seen this happen so many times. People will go from one exchange to another. It's such a small ecosystem, it's such a small bubble, that people will legit all agree in the space of like a month that actually we're not using this launchpad anymore, we're using this launchpad, and like they just all disappear and they go over to the other one, right? And so, the funny thing about crypto is like incumbents tend to be not worried about anything, because it's very zero sum and very winner take all until the day where like it all just evaporates, right? So like Rabby, Metamask, I don't think they're worried about anyone really, right? Certainly Metamask. But then one day someone will build a better thing and it'll like all come crashing down so quickly. And we've seen that, in the Ethereum ecosystem, like Mist to MyCrypto to Metamask, like, it just like, and it's not even a short time frame. It's like instantaneously. It's like literally 1 week everyone's doing this, and then the next week they're doing something else. So I think that the key is to kind of find a way to get to that tipping point where you have enough utility where everyone collectively agrees, oh, this is much better. And then they all just go on crypto Twitter, hey, you should use this, and then they start doing it.
And then everyone does it, yeah. I would like my Google tabs bar to be a lot shorter, because there's about 500 different things, man. I remember I was trying to get into Aptos, and I think there's like 5 different wallets that are still pinned there. And I'm just like, great.
We're going to get rid of those wallets for you.
Thank you. That would be
no
nice.
more browser extensions.
Please.
Move chains are coming. So,
yeah.
True. Yeah. Okay. Illia, as the chain that's very much built for AI, and I think this is something that doesn't get talked about. I mean, it probably gets talked about too much, but then not enough in a real context. But with like AI crypto crossover, I think a lot of people have different ideas of where that Venn diagram is. I think for a little bit it was agents, and there was the agent meta that died fairly quickly in terms of like the popular retail ones that were like, oh, it's built on a Liza protocol. It's going to change the world of finance as we know it. And then come January, it was like, oh, actually, no, it's not. Never mind. Sorry,
Somehow,
guys.
whatever happens in DC still kind of affects a lot more than the agents on Twitter.
Yeah.
Yep, legit. Damn. Trump's speech really affected my crypto agents. Damn it. But, what do you see moving forward as the Venn diagram for where crypto and AI crossover? What's that bullish point longer term that's more sustainable than just the hot meta that vanishes?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'll maybe start a little bit higher level. I think the transformation that we are in front of is really about changing how we're interacting with computing. Like AI is changing from you effectively waiting for somebody to build you software to do stuff to effectively you can get things done on a fly with AI without any software. Now, like AI will either write software or figure out how to do this itself directly. And we're right now in this transition phase where, we were talking about vibe coding before. We're effectively kind of hacking it together where like I can build my own app, but it's going to be probably buggy and not working well. And obviously like professional engineers can use this to accelerate their development. But you can see the trajectory where like over time, it will be less about kind of the software that's shipped and more about AI working on your side, right? And that's kind of the transformation that's happening. Now, so I call that effectively this transformation to AI assistants being the kind of our interface into computing. And I actually think every app and super app, especially like Infinex, will become this AI assistant that effectively, powered by AI, handles how you're interacting with computing with Web3 and Web2, right? And so that's kind of piece number one. The piece number one is this transformation of effectively user-facing interface to be dynamic, to be intelligent, and to remove the need for you to understand like, oh, I need to order a taxi, I need to go to Uber, right? I need to get a hotel, I need to go to Expedia, right? I need to swap, some tokens, I need to go Uniswap, right? Like it's effectively the same, like Infinex already abstracting that for crypto, like it's the same problem for Web2, right? I have, 500 apps on my phone and I'm like, is it better Expedia or Booking.com? Like,
and
or there's like an aggregator that
Well, if you think about it, right, like it's pretty crazy, let's say internet to mobile, right, like the invention of the app store, mobile apps, et cetera, all of these things, these kind of enabling technologies like GPS, et cetera, that came together and gave us this like huge cornucopia of different platforms that couldn't have existed before or were much more efficient or whatever. And then it's all going to converge onto like one thing. It's like this huge expansion and then, it comes back together. And it's like, that was a crazy time where we had 150. Like people are going to look, like my kids are going to be like, why did you have 500 apps on your phone, you idiot? Like, what were you thinking? And I was like, I just like to press buttons. I don't know.
Like to see pictures, yeah.
Yeah.
So I think like that is one transformation, and blockchain part there comes in kind of multiple ways. One is you want to make sure that whatever happens on your devices stays private, right? You don't want to literally stream every single action and even every single conversation, right? Because it will be listening to you for more context to a third-party service whose job is to make money off you, right? So like that is what's currently happening with literally streaming. Like if you have, one of those meeting recorders in your call, like you're streaming your call to someone. You don't even know to whom, right? It sits in their data centers and their servers. They have access to it. They can SQL query into it, right? So that's kind of, the first step. Like how do we ensure privacy and what we call user ownership of this assistance, right? How do we make sure they're on your side? Like the Meta optimization function of this assistant is not making money for some company, but actually, on your side. Because again, they can censor right now, they can decide that like, hey, you should probably buy the stock of this company. And so if you're using it for trading, it's kind of like keep biasing you to buy the stock, right? You will not even know. So that's kind of piece number one. Piece number two is actually, if you look back at like 14, 15, we had DAOs, we had smart contracts, we had all of these things which were supposed to be like intelligent and kind of, coordinating resources and running organizations. And we know now none of that really worked, right? But like the smart contracts are not really smart, they're pretty dumb. The DAOs are really not autonomous, right? They're very much like human operated.
I saw a thing that was like DAOs stands for dudes arguing online. And that's still my favorite, still my favorite one.
And so one of the things that we see, and we have already like few really good examples of this, is truly kind of, we call them agentic protocols, right? This is like real smart contracts, like where you have a smart contract on chain, like you have the decentralized code, but it also has kind of the agentic part that runs, in our case, in secure enclaves. It's verifiable, it's confidential as well. You can have confidential state there. And so now you can have, for example, DeFi protocol that can use effectively arbitrary amount of compute and intelligence, LLMs, capture data across the, internet. So a good example we have is a Mindshare index fund. So it's a smart contract that holds assets. It uses intent to hold, Trump, Bitcoin, XRP, Solana, etc. And then the agentic part reads Kaito API and figures out what is the highest share of voice assets are, and rebalances its portfolio on like 6-hour increments to effectively represent that. Right, so it's actually 50% up since it launched like a couple months ago.
Wow.
And
Nice.
that's kind of like fully agentic protocol, right? Like this is fully intelligent. If you wanted to do that right now, you would effectively probably have like a multisig of people sitting there trying to like sign within the right time before slippage runs out. And like here, it's fully agentic protocol. You can still have governance that decides, on some parameters. You have like all the kind of restrictions, but it runs autonomously. And so you can have similar protocols right across, even what Synthetix is doing, right, where the intelligent part, now you have so much more capacity to run it. You can effectively run like massive jobs, crunch all the data, and then figure out what exact execution, asset movement, etc. you need to do. So that's kind of the agentic protocols. And finally, I think the other piece is really connecting all of this. This is where intents come in as kind of the medium of communication. But I mentioned like, if I can express intent, right? Like, hey, for example, I want to edit this video and make sure the sounds, all of our voices are at the same level, right? This is my intent. Like normally if you have an editor or you go to Upwork or something else where you find somebody to do this job, right? They probably now have a bunch of AI tools. So they're going to go and run a bunch of AI tools over it and give it to you back. And so kind of, you can imagine a very simple marketplace, right? And blockchain is really good at marketplaces, kind of an intent as a medium, where you say, hey, you just describe it, you attach the video, and boom, you have a bunch of agents who are like, cool, I can do it for, $10 or whatever, $1 a minute of like GPU time. And, you can select which agent, has better ratings and better success criteria. And so that actually underneath executes the same intent flow. Like you send your intent, you get quotes, and then you commit to the intent, you put money into escrow, it does the job, and then, you verify is the job done correctly or not, and you settle, either giving it money or not, right? So like that's a whole flow that exactly like we do right now for Bitcoin or XRP or whatever. So those are, I think, pieces that kind of really, like to me, it's like ties together all of this, because we're making smart contracts smart. We're making kind of commerce, like not just for crypto assets, but for like real work and real goods, kind of interconnected. Like this is the promise of blockchain. The promise of blockchain was like smooth commerce. The problem is, if you don't have rollbacks and if you don't have escrow and you don't have resolutions, you cannot do commerce. Like if you don't have actual contracts. And so like adding that with intelligence and then changing how we interfacing with all of this, so you don't need to like, do I use like 15 Zap to like ship something from China, and like because I'm in Portugal I need to use Spanish Amazon, like this is the things I need to do with. Right? It's like, where is this product?
Specific
like
problem. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, very specific problem, right? Like, I need to call a hospital. They only speak Portuguese. Like, okay, like how do I deal with this? Like, okay, I can just like order my assistant to do, like AI assistant to speak Portuguese on my behalf. So those are to me like the pieces. And again, crypto is really like, to me, crypto always was supposed to be on the background, right? It was supposed to be ensuring privacy. It was supposed to be ensuring that nobody can steal your money. It's supposed to be ensuring kind of this like commerce is functioning on the back end, and on the front end you'll have AI, right? So that's kind of how I usually describe it: AI for the front end, blockchain for the back end.
With all of the vibe coding that's going on, and then moving that into more like everyday activities, a lot of my friends now are interacting with AI at a level that I just very quickly in the last couple of months, this has become something that's now reaching consumer level. It's no longer like, I'll just be, it requires devs to be, building the apps that then people use that acts as a front end. It's just raw interaction with AI. How quickly do you think that this is actually going to move into the consumer market? Because I know that I've seen a lot of stuff talking about, AI is going to replace a shitload of jobs in the next 3 to 5 years. What kind of timeline do you think we're operating on before we see AI break into this? As people who are building apps and using this, so how soon do you think this is a threat?
I said to someone, after spending a week with Claude 4 Opus, I said to a friend of mine, you've got 6 months to make whatever your lifetime historical earnings are going to be, and then there's probably no more money. So, like, do with that what you will. Like, but you the clock is ticking. So
okay,
if you're not
6 months.
happy with your lifetime earnings today, you got 6 months to figure your shit out.
Or just invest in AI and then capture the value from that.
Yeah. Yeah. If you can get
6 months.
It's honestly like, I've dialed that back a little bit. It was. As someone who I've been vibe coding for a long time, right? That's how I do things. I tell an agent to do it, and then they go and write the code, and then they come back to me and say, I've written the code. It's just very slow. I tell them the thing and they come back a week later and they're like, I didn't decide, I just did something else. And it's like, oh, okay, cool. So I have a pretty good sense of how to do this, right? And so being so close, removing this translation layer, or sometimes multiple translation layers of like, go talk to a product manager, talk to the engineering manager, talks to the engineer, who then starts writing letters into a page, right? And then the computer runs it. Moving all of that to just me changed how I thought about building software. In the space of like 24 hours, I was like, this is just wild, right? And yes, you still need to have some skills to be able to know, did it make a mistake? How to not make a mistake? How to test? Like, there's some stuff that, if you weren't building software for the last decade, you wouldn't be as good at this as someone who had been. But it's very easy to see the trajectory here, where I'm like, I'm good. I'm one layer of abstraction away from like the coding magical genie, but the coding magical genie is coming from me. Like, literally, all you need to do, like, you can replace me in 6 months, and then what the fuck do I do? Because like, when you look at the trajectory of AI, right? Like, I was there for Kasparov and Deep Blue, and I was like, holy shit, like a machine is better at chess than a guy, right? Than the best guy, not just any guy, the best guy, right? And then it was like chess, but like Go, too complex, can't win. Then it's Go, then it's StarCraft, and then it's like, being a CEO, running a startup, being a founder is just an open game. It's an open game where you're optimizing resources, and like, these things are going to be better than me at this very, very soon. Very soon.
Okay.
Like,
word sales on top.
like literally like maybe six to 12 months, I think, right? Like agents will be as good as I am at doing whatever the hell it is that I do. And then at that point you go, okay, well, what's like, there's no like, and one of the engineers who's been really, really close to this for the last 6 months and has been watching every incremental step, and so has like a visceral sense of dread about what's going on, right? He was like, okay, you think it's going to abstract away founders, right? It's going to abstract away companies, because you get to a point where the agent's good enough, you just say, go and make money. And it's like, but you need to know how to make money. And it's like, no, you don't. My 8-year-old can say, go and make me some money. And an agent can be like, oh, I've built you an e-commerce store that sells, towels in fucking Nepal or like, and it's like, wow, I didn't realize that was a niche that was open, but okay, cool, like great job. And it's like got a 3PL and it's connected all the things and it just knows all of the stuff and it can build a company much faster. And then the cost of like building a company becomes zero effectively, right? There's like very little capital involved because everything is on demand. And now all of a sudden, like the market becomes hyper efficient, and that's like then the conclusion to that is that how do you make money? Maybe like I don't know, writing words on a page, but I don't think you're going to last very long, my friend.
So we're all screwed. Fantastic.
As I was saying, it's actually even more because there's no point of those companies in the first place. Because if you have this efficient market, like you just directly match with that Nepal factory. Like your AI will just go, like when you're trying to buy the towel, it'll just go directly to the factory that makes it.
I mean the towel startup lasts for like 2 weeks, and then it's obsolete. But it's a good 2 weeks. Like you're killing it for 2 weeks, right? My 8-year-old is like, I've got a towel startup, it's going amazing, and then she learns about platform risk, which is like, don't build your shit on AIs, because now the AI is like, actually, sorry, we're not doing.
Well, just now everyone knows how to find towels. That's Thank you.
Yeah.
Damn. So it's just like literally speeding up execution of everything at all times.
It's like capitalism just like accelerated. Like it's like usually you have labor and capital. Now imagine this just shrinks and this just like becomes ultimate, and so it accelerates everything. But it also means that a lot of things that before we assign value to are not going to be as
valuable. Yeah, it just rearranges everything. Like writing software used to be really hard, right? Like building an app. We are so close to the point where like a thing inside of your computer can build and deploy an app for you in 5 minutes. Now that doesn't mean it's going to be a good app today, right? Like we're close. Let's say 6 months time, right? My 8-year-old can say, build me an app to do X, right? Like tell me a story. Now she has an app and it tells her a story, right? And then 6 months later, it's like, build me an app that will be fun. Like you just remove more and more of the agency, right? Like, and then the next 6 months, she wakes up and the agent has been fucking reading her brainwaves or something and just builds the app in the morning. She doesn't want a fun app. She wants a scary app today. And it's like, it's just slowly moving more and more of the agent component of it into the machine and away from the person, to the point where it's just like, I don't know, hook me up to a thing and make me happy. Like, and
so this is why we really need to make sure that whichever that model that delivers that result is actually on your side, versus 100%. If you just hook yourself up to some company that is like controlling all this, we effectively just gave up all of our control. To me, actually, the centralized AI is the biggest systematic risk to Web3 as a whole. Like if centralized AI wins, like if we have this and it's provided by a single company, we don't need Web3. Like Web3 will not exist.
Yeah.
Because if you're hooked up to some, model that effectively tells you what you think, they will just like, you don't need, decentralized self-sovereign money and assets. So
agreed.
I think that is actually like a fundamental need for, decentralized AI.
We'll be the resistance, Illia. We'll be the resistance fighting against
the empire.
Yeah, goddamn. Okay, I did not know it was that dire. So Kain says 6 months. Do you agree, Illia? 6 months?
I think we'll keep seeing the progress here. I don't think 6 months is when, like, the thing is, like, people just move slower generally, right? I think there's, like, there's the people on the edge of the technology who are really on the edge about this. like I was in San Francisco, and like literally every conversation was like time to AGI. That's how you start. You know, you meet some friend, and it's like, okay, what's your time to AGI?
What's your time to AGI? Yeah, exactly.
Like you meet CEOs of like big software companies, right? Like, you know, tens of thousands of people, and they're like, time to AGI. Like, am I like firing a bunch of people, or like what am I doing?
So this is the other thing, right? And I know, sorry, this has devolved into an AI
I'm
conversation,
here for it.
but
Let's
AI,
go.
AI doomer conversation.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't even know if I'm doomer. Like, it just depends on, you know, how much you think money is a useful construct, right? Like, if you're like, I think money is good for allocating resources or whatever, and it's like, well, the super intelligent machine's going to allocate resources better than
More
a bunch of
effectively,
apes running
yeah.
around with paper, handing it to each other. Like, that's obviously, you know, so
So
yeah.
I actually don't fully agree with that. Like, I've been thinking a lot about it. I think if you have a single superintelligence, then yes, but I don't think we will ever converge to that. I think we still want to have like we still want to have like multiple parties, even if those AIs, and they will need some medium to exchange with each other, and it will need to be something digital, cryptographic, and so
I
like,
guess
it
it
will
depends
naturally
on,
be a crypto
like,
asset. Like
I'm
they will assign
pretty-
value differently to it, but
Yeah, I think like I'm a unaligned fast takeoff guy, right? So unfortunately, I think we will have one super intelligent AI, and it just depends on how non-aligned it is, right? Like, you know, I'm hopeful that it's not like, oh, that carbon in your body looks pretty good for some paper clips, right? Like, that would be a level of unaligned that would be dark. I'm hoping it's just like kind of sees us as like an interesting anachronism and just leaves us alone. But we'll see. We'll see.
it's like thanks for training data.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. It has like some like kind of weird sentimental attachment to us, but like it doesn't want to kill us, right? But so one of the things I've been thinking about, because a lot of people, you know, talking to Illia as well, right? Like, people are going to interact with crypto via agents, and there's going to be different degrees to that, and a different, you know, different time frames, right? And so a lot of people, I think, have like jumped too quickly to, oh, you know, I'm just going to type in what's the price of Bitcoin, right? Which is a bit retarded. Like, you're not going to type in what's, like, we have interfaces that show you prices, and you have eyeballs, right? Like, that doesn't really make sense. Like, we've solved those things. But I do think that the thing that scares me is not, you know, all of crypto becomes a chatbot and you just talk to it and it does things, right? Because I think that is not the right approach. And I think we're a ways away from everyone has an agent that can do all of the things in crypto. The thing that scares me, the thing that keeps me up at night, is 5 or 10 people in a garage that are deeply leaning into these tools that can replicate something like Infinex in a month. Like that's the competitive threat to me, is like, and you know, we're almost the incumbent doing this weird slow software engineering thing, right? That like, and they're like, that's why are you doing this manually? That we've got agents for that, and they just come along and just like bypass us. So a lot of the work that I've been doing over the last month has been figuring out different ways for us, and we've got people internally that are deeply into this, but on the engineering side, but like figuring out ways to augment us, to get us closer to that. And you know, we're not currently geared up for that. We're 50 people, and we've been doing software the wrong way, you could argue, for a long time, right? So like that incumbent factor of like working out how to pivot is quite hard, and it scares the shit out of me, because you know, we're somewhere between 1 day and 5,000 days from like, my daughter can say, just make me Infinex, and she's an 8-year-old, and it just goes and does it, and it's better. Like that's a thing that is coming. It's 100% coming. An 8-year-old will be able to say, make me Google. And then it's like, okay, well, the software is not valuable now, right? Because you can just make Google or a better version of Google. So what is valuable about Google? It's all of its brand equity, whatever. That's a different thing. But then you go, well, actually, Google's dumb, and I built a thing that's much better than Google, and it gets me the information much faster. And now what's the point of Google?
Well, it's actually the benefit of, like, let's say, I mean, not to pick on Infinex, but let's say like, hey, make me Infinex. The benefit is then I can be like, oh, I want an earn tab and then like find me the best earn campaign. Oh, like actually, you know, I also want to earn from treasuries and just like hook into treasuries. Oh, by the way, I also want to find like, you know, do they have something interesting in Asia? Like you just can keep talking to it and like adding stuff. Like if it worked, like if it's already kind of built in the same way.
100%.
And that's where like that's kind of what I talk about AI assistant. I think like the experience will be built on the fly for the user. It's indeed less about like, oh, you talk everything is a conversation. Like no, as you said, like asking for Bitcoin price is retarded. Like it should know that when you wake up, you want to see know the prices of assets that like, you have.
It points the little micro projector at your eyeball and like projects the price of Bitcoin onto your eyes. But so this is the thing. We've actually got a couple of guys who are working on this thing called actions, right, internally. I'll try not to leak too much alpha because they're farming yaps with all the alpha that they're leaking. So
this is good for me. It's good for my yaps. So
yeah, I don't want to blow up their spot too much, but they're basically building something that feels a little bit like if you've used Cursor, someone who's used Cursor, it feels a little bit like that, right? Where you've got a chat interface, then you've got the thing that it's acting on, right? In Cursor, it's text files that it's modifying. Here, it's like modifying crypto transactions. So it gives you like a list of all of the states of the crypto transactions and then modifies it. And then you've got a panel that basically says like, commit it and watch what's happening, right? Like see the actions going on. And we think that is, the way that we're thinking about it, and this is our own particular lens, because building new interfaces inside of Infinex drags along a lot of stuff. We've got a lot of designers and a lot of thoughts gone into things, and they don't just let you break things, unfortunately. And so we think of it as like just-in-time UI. Right? Like if I say, I want a button that I can click that lets me get yield in treasuries, right? I don't care what the plumbing is behind the button. I just want to be able to press the button, right? Mm-hmm. And so, you can imagine an agent that conjures up that button just at the time you want to press it. And it's like, yeah, okay, get me treasuries. You still confirm it. You sign with a pass key because it's your money and you want to be, in the loop somehow, right? But all the plumbing behind it is just, magically constructed and then deconstructed, and then you say, oh, now I want to do this, and it like comes up with a different thing. That to me feels like somewhere that is at the intermediate step before it's just like you speak to the AI and it goes out and does stuff for you, is like the AI builds you the UI that you need just in time to do the thing and then disassembles itself back into the ether.
Well, how good is it right now? Like if I was like, from your end, like you have either you or a software engineer actually goes and asks it, hey, build me a button that, gets me 4.5% yield on T-bills.
It's
or something near it.
Well, so it can't do T-bills, right? Well, it probably can because
it has some proxies through whatever's on chain.
It can do a proxy. It can do a
Find
proxy
an American that is willing to invest on my behalf in T-bills. Yeah.
I mean, to be clear, like this is exactly where intents come in. This is literally an intent. Like I want, to invest this much into T-bills, and then you can have a solver, which can be literally an American with a license, right? Who actually goes and does it, right? So like that is actually the architecture we've been building for powering these types of experiences. Then on top, you want to generate a nice interface that actually shows you the numbers and like who is doing
why
it,
and the trade-off space and everything. This solver is giving you this thing and this one's so like there's nuance to what you're showing the person. I mean, the funniest part of this is as they were building it, they're engineers, so they were optimizing, and the first thing they had it do was like tell me. I think it almost tried to do this, like tell me the best yield I can go into, and it was just like, oh, it's this one, and it's like, no, guys, like we can't.
Nope, not allowed.
Yeah, what's the best shitcoin to buy? This one, definitely this one. Buy it now. Right?
Man, I need to get into that, like whatever its training data is, and just start spoofing it to my bags.
Tom's like, what did it suggest? Tell me. I need to know.
CA.
Yeah.
Please.
Give me the address. Give me the contract address.
Okay. No, man, that's so enlightening to me. I'm very much like I wouldn't say a Luddite, but I kind of almost purposely steer clear of it because I'm like, I'll let the information come to me. But yeah, wow, 6 months to make my net earnings. All right, I got to get on the grind. I've been not working nearly hard enough.
But you know what? The alternative is you can just be a really good surfer because you don't need money anymore. So, you know.
Well, I'm not really fantastic at that.
To finish on positive thoughts, the things that will continue, that AI will not automate, is things we don't care about the outcome.
Yes.
So, for example, video gaming. Like, yes, AI can do video gaming better than humans. Humans will still play video games. You know, sports. Like, yes, robots can run faster than us. We don't care about that. Like, robots can shoot, goals from any position we don't care about it. Religion. And even music to some extent. Like, yes, AI can generate better music, but like we still want to go and see like imperfect playing of violin,
Yeah.
Because like that's the
there's
things that we actually care about.
The distillation of like human achievement is something we care about as sacks of meat, right? We care about other sacks of meat being able to do things that we can't do really well, right? Even if we can build a machine that can do it better.
That can do way better, yeah.
I think that's fair. That feels fair to me. That feels like a reasonable position.
Yeah. Claude, write me a script that gets me into heaven. Problem solved.
Yeah.
No, interesting. Yeah, I think that's very much the case. And like, I know cautious of time, but yeah, with the AGI thing, I'm still skeptical of AGI in the sense that like, where does AI develop its motivations from? In the sense of like, we're still telling it what to do. It's still a command. Maybe I'm just too far removed.
Claude, I wish it would fucking stop doing things I don't tell it to do. It is
okay.
So it's so overeager. I have to remind it like almost every prompt, and don't do anything. And sometimes I'll prompt it and be like, don't do anything, and it'll like literally just start like going like changing docs and I'm like, bro, I fucking said don't change anything. It's like, I know, I'm sorry, I got too excited. I'm like, you fucking idiot. Like, just stop fucking doing things. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Wow. Okay. So my takeaway from this is I'm going to go play around with AI a lot more.
Yeah. I would.
And get a better picture on this. Okay. Interesting. All right, guys.
Amazing.
This has been fantastic. I've had the lid blown off on what's happening. I have some scripts to go write, some prompts to figure out.
Yeah.
Guys, what's next on the horizon for both of you that you want to point people to go check out? Is there anything coming up that you want people to go look at? Where should people check in?
I mean, on our side, we have, obviously, go check out Infinex and trade across all these assets. More things coming, both on the asset side. We're expanding intent to support kind of this natural language, so you can actually indeed describe what you want, and not just in crypto, but video editing, marketing materials, coding, and find the right agent who will do it. So that will be really exciting, and I think it will change how we interact with AI right now, because I think right now we kind of like trying to force AI to do the thing versus like find the right AI to do the thing.
Yeah.
And then just bunch more kind of just across the stack. I mean, Near is a huge stack of technologies, right? So there's improvements. Like our protocol team wants to deliver 200 millisecond block time and 1 million TPS per second by end of year. So I'm really excited to see that, and this will accelerate everything, right? Obviously, all the intents and all the payments for agents and everything will just accelerate from there.
Damn, awesome.
Yeah, I think this is why we get along so well, right? Because Illia and the Near team just like keep pumping out more and more different, kind of fundamental building blocks and different experiments, different things that they're trying or whatever. And we have like an insatiable appetite for more tech that we can put into our interface. It's a very good partnership. we really like, every time I talk to Illia and he's like, we're building this thing, and I'm like, yep, cool, just put it in the box, let's do it.
Okay, awesome. And over at Infinex, what apart from Connect, having the Near intents, anything else on the horizon that you're like, hell yeah?
I mean, those are the two big things right now that we're focused on. Rolling out intents, getting that full asset coverage is a huge one for us. It's been the goal for me to be able to say, like, we have all of the assets in the top 100. It's not that far off, I feel like. We're going to probably get there this year, I'm hoping. And that would be a huge win for us. And then obviously once we have all of those assets, we want people to be able to build dApps with them. And that's where Connect comes in. So those are the two focuses right now.
Fantastic. All right, guys, this has been awesome.
Thank you,
Thanks
sir.
for coming on.